So the New York Jets are very thin at the wide receiver position. Now, we did just sign wide receiver Chris Hogan, but I mean, even with him, we are very thin. Our projected starting receivers for the start of the 2020 season are wide receiver Breshad Perriman, and you have Denzel Mims and Crowder at the slot. Now, Perriman isn't really known for being too great in the NFL, has never really had a great season in the NFL besides last year in 2019, whenever he was with Tampa Bay. That second half of the season, he shined really well. He played really well. He had like 645 yards. He did phenomenal. Denzel Mims was a second-round draft pick, drafted towards the end of the second round. And he is out. He's not practicing right now because he has a hamstring injury. And Crowder's just amazing. So we don't have to worry about him. But I mean, besides that, we don't know how these starters are going to do. And we added Chris Hogan, a player who can kind of play. He's pretty good. I mean, he's known for being that kind of role that he's going to play in New York. Not really a starting receiver, but kind of a depth piece who does really well. His best time was whenever he played with New England. He had like 400, 600 yards, and he was pretty good in the playoffs. He was injured last year, only playing like 8 games. But now with this upcoming season, I think he's going to be ready and healthy and start practicing and be a good depth position for the New York Jets. So today I'm going to be looking at all the draft picks in the New York Jets 2020 draft and seeing if there was wide receivers that the New York Jets could have drafted instead of taking players at these positions. So let's get started. Alright, and before we get started, I just want to point out that this wide receiver class was probably the best wide receiver class ever. That's what scouts were saying, that's what fans were saying, that's what everyone was saying. It was very deep. People were saying that they would be Pro Bowlers drafted in like the 5th round. And to be honest, I was kind of questionable on why Joe Douglas decided to only take one wide receiver in the draft. I mean, I know we had picks that we needed to fill, and I'm going to be talking about that later on. But I mean, you could have drafted another player with these picks. We did get 2 undrafted wide receivers. We got Lawrence Cager, who's like 6'5", he's a beast, and we got George Campbell. So I'm excited to see if those guys make the team. Obviously, undrafted free agents don't really have a high chance of making the team, but you never know. So yeah, let's get started. In the first round of the 2020 draft, the New York Jets' first pick was left tackle Mekhi Becton. Now this pick made a lot of sense. Now a lot of people were arguing whenever the Jets should draft CeeDee Lamb, the Jets should draft, someone like Henry Ruggs, Joe Jeudy. Me personally, it was all for the tackle because, I mean, as I said, the wide receiver position at this, the wide receiver depth in this class was extraordinary. And I was like, we can get a good player later on. And so I was like, left tackle, right tackle, someone in the draft. Mekhi Becton and Tristan Wirfs were the 2 top tackles on the board. Just decided to draft Mekhi Becton, and he is a beast. I'm glad the Jets drafted him. Joe Douglas rebuilt this offensive line this past offseason, adding a player at basically a whole new position. Left tackle was the only position he didn't address, and he decided that he was going to draft Mekhi Becton, and we got him. The guy is a beast. He's like 6'7", 300-something pounds. Guy is amazingly good. In practice today, Connor Hughes is saying he pancaked Neville Hewitt, a starter on the defense last year, and Adam Gase said he's not swimming. He's fitting into the offense perfectly, and I think he could be a good player, maybe even a Pro Bowl player in 2020. Now, don't expect him to do amazing. The Jets are facing a lot of good talent this year, like Von Miller, Nick Bosa. So, I mean, he's going to have to face some tough people. But I think he can do great this season, and I'm very excited the New York Jets drafted him. Don't think we should have drafted a receiver at this position. I like the pick. So let's get on to the second round pick. With the New York Jets' second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, they decided to take Denzel Mims at the 59th pick. The Jets originally had the 48th pick, but decided to trade back to the 59th pick. A lot of Jets fans are questioning this. Why are we going to trade back? Denzel Mims is right there. We can get a wide receiver that is very good and can start for us in 2020. But we actually did draft Denzel Mims at the 59th pick, and also adding an additional 3rd round pick in the mix, or was it a 4th? I'm not sure. So that was very exciting. But now Now, Denzel Mims was a great pick. Obviously, he was a wide receiver. There was no other receiver I wish the Jets would have drafted. So this is a good pick for the New York Jets. Denzel Mims actually has hurt his hamstring, but Adam Gase said it's not major. Should be back to practicing in a couple of days. I'm excited to see Denzel Mims play with the Jets this season, see how good he can be. Don't expect a lot from him. Expect a lot, but just not too much, because Mims is a receiver, and I mean, receivers usually aren't Pro Bowl talents in their first year, but I mean, he could be one of those players. You never know. The New York Jets' third pick in the 2020 NFL Draft went to safety Ashtyn Davis. Ashtyn Davis was called the mystery man of the NFL Draft. No one knew how he was going to be. This guy's blazing speed. He's very versatile, can play any position. But the pick didn't really make sense, because, I mean, at the time, we still had Jamal Adams on the roster. We had Jamal Adams and Marcus May. And if you think about it a bit more, it does make sense. They had Jamal Adams trade rumors floating around. Those haven't came out yet, I don't believe, by the draft time, but it was still there. I mean, people were thinking that he was just going to be traded, and, you know, he wasn't congratulating Jets picks. We could see that he wanted to get out of here, so that's kind of disappointing, but I mean, he's out of here now, so nothing really we could do. And then we had Marcus May, who's entering the last year of his contract, but we don't know if he's going to re-sign with the Jets or not. I hope he does, but I mean, he might not. So now we have Ashtyn Davis kind of to be their heir, you know, the player to fill in for any one of those positions. Now we have Bradley McDougald, so he's practicing with the second team. He's been playing pretty well in practice, I believe, and I do believe this is a good pick for the New York Jets. The Jets' next pick was the defensive end Jabari Zuniga. Good pick. The Jets always need to add that defensive line presence. Now, he really isn't on the line. He's more playing outside, so that's why Joe Douglas drafted him in the original spot. The Jets need edge help, and he will bring a lot of that to the table. The Jets' leading edge rusher right now is Jordan Jenkins, who is a very phenomenal player. He almost gets double-digit sacks every year. I think he could crack that barrier, get double-digit sacks. So yeah, Jabari Zuniga was a good pick. He actually does have a quad injury, I believe, right now, but I don't think it's major, and I think he could be on the field in a couple of days. And also, it was his birthday, I believe, like 3 days ago, so happy birthday, Jabari. Well, happy late birthday. With the New York Jets' next pick, they decided to draft Florida running back La'Mical Perine. Now, this pick was pretty good, because at the time, the New York Jets did not have a backup running back. We had not signed Frank Gore yet, so Frank Gore has not been signed, and the only running backs on the team were like Le'Veon Bell and Josh Adams. So La'Mical Perine was a pretty good pick. I believe, you know, there was some other talented backs still on the board, and Perine might not have been the greatest one, but he was still pretty good nonetheless. He's a hard runner. Now he's the third string running back, but I mean, I believe he could be good in, you know, the upcoming, you know, years as a good backup. You know, Frank Gore obviously is not going to be our backup forever, and Perine is going to get to learn from Bell, and he's also going to get to learn from Gore. And he could be maybe even a starter someday, and, you know, he's just one of those legendary backs that I think has been put into a really good position right now. So yeah, I do think that is a good pick. Now, coming up with the next pick, I think is probably the most questionable pick of the entire 2020 NFL Draft. We have, not the entire of the Jets, so we have New York Jets decided to take with the 125th pick, quarterback James Morgan out of Florida International. This pick was with Chicago, then it was with New England, now it's with the Jets, so it kind of went all over. But nonetheless, the Jets ended up getting a pick. So James Morgan, a quarterback, I believe projected to go into the 5th and 6th rounds, comes to the Jets in the 4th round. Jets, most definitely, I thought, should have drafted a receiver with this position. I believe, no doubt, I think James Morgan would have been a good pick in the 5th round, or the 6th round if we didn't even trade that pick to get Quincy Wilson off of Florida. At the time, it made sense because the Jets had not drafted Joe Flacco yet. Joe Flacco was still a free agent, and Sam Darnold's backup was David Fales, who really isn't the greatest backup you could have. James Morgan obviously would bring in kind of that rookie type of backup. He's obviously not the starting backup now, but I think, well, he technically is because Joe Flacco's on the pup list. But anyway, Joe Flacco's going to get off in week 1, so he should be ready to go. The thing is, James Morgan is a type of player who I think isn't better than Jake Fromm. He's the type of player who's either going to give you like 5,000 yards of Jameis Winston type season or an Aaron Rodgers type season. You never know what he's going to give you. He will be good with now Joe Flacco and Sam Darnold teaching him. He's going to be able to develop into a good backup over time. So maybe that's why Joe Douglas drafted him. But I mean, I believe the Jets could have drafted Gabriel Davis out of UCF. The pick is still on the board. He actually ended up going to Buffalo 3 picks later. Or we could have drafted Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty. He went like towards the end of the 4th round. We could have even drafted him with the next pick with Cameron Clark. Cameron Clark is a good selection though. He's a good depth piece for the New York Jets offensive line, yeah. And, you know, we needed depth on the offensive line. So I think Cameron Clark is a pretty good pick. But, I mean, James Morgan, I think, is just the most questionable one. We could have drafted Gabriel Davis or Gandy Golden or any other receiver. Gabriel Davis was a very good receiver that I liked coming out of UCF. I didn't put him in my mock draft, but I still had him in my thoughts, and I wish the Jets could have drafted him because he looks like a talent. He could have went well with Denzel Mims, and maybe the receiver position wouldn't be so slim. Moving on to the Jets' next pick was Cameron Clark. I talked about him already, thought it was a good pick. Then we have Bryce Hall. Bryce Hall was a cornerback that could have went into the 2nd round if not hurt his ankle. He's a very good player, had like 21 pass deflections or something crazy, like 34 or something in 2018. I don't think 34, like 21. He was a pass deflection machine. He can get interceptions, go up and get the ball, and is very good cornerback. He's played on the COVID-19 reserve list as of right now. But he was standing on the sidelines earlier today, so I believe he could get out of the COVID-19 reserve list soon. He could be back to practicing. So yeah, Bryce Hall, I think, was a good pick. And our final pick was Braden Mann, the punter that we all needed. Braden Mann, you know, Jets actually did not have a punter on the team at the, time. The punter we had was Lachlan Edwards, who I think was a pretty good punter, but the Jets had higher hopes in getting Braden Mann. I believe Braden Mann has been one of the best punter prospects to come out of the draft, in a long time. Or maybe since that Seahawks punter a couple years ago, or 2017, who was pretty good coming out of A&M. I don't know. But Braden Mann, I think, will be a good punter for the Jets. Maybe even a Pro Bowl type punter is what scouts are saying. So I'm glad the Jets drafted him. And yeah, this is the end of the video. So thank you guys for watching. If you are returning, welcome back. I love having you here. If you enjoy this video, I post New York Jets content like this every single day, so make sure to subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and if you want to follow me on social media, my accounts are JewJets on Instagram and Twitter. It's also linked down below in the description, so make sure you go follow me and subscribe to me. So thank you guys for watching this. JewJets, peace!